G'day viewers. In this video I'm going to execute a scientific critique of some of the comments made by Bob Lazar in his 1991 documentary. So if you haven't watched his documentary, you can do so by watching episode 45 on this channel. For the purpose of brevity, I'm going to assume that viewers have watched the documentary, or at least will watch it in the near future. The most important claim Bob Lazar has ever made since he first told his story in 1989 occurred, as far as I know, in 2016 when he posted the gravity amplifier pulse frequency value of 7.46 Hz. This is the frequency that the gravity amplifiers would pulsate in an anti-clockwise direction when pointed at the Earth in hovering mode. This means that the so-called gravity B wave emanating from the Earth did so at 7.46 Hz in order for the effects of the gravity A and B waves to destructively interfere, or in other words, for these two forms of gravity waves to cancel each other out. What this means, and the reason this is the most important claim Bob Lazar has ever made, is because he is precisely describing a quantum vacuum property of the Earth at its surface. This value is location specific and is different for various altitudes. Most importantly, this value does not need any of the Lazar story to be true or even to exist. It does not require the existence of space aliens. It does not require the existence of Area 51. It does not require the existence of S4, and it does not require the existence of element 115. His 7.46 Hz value is a standalone quantum vacuum property of the Earth at its surface. So the big question is, how did he come up with it? He could not have guessed this value. It's too specific. Its theoretical value is 7.43 Hz. His value is 7.46 Hz. So how did he come up with this value? Unfortunately, the 1991 Lazar documentary does not address the origin or existence of this 7.46 Hz value at all. However, for any interested viewers, you can find the derivation of the theoretical 7.43 Hz solution on this channel. The fact that the theoretical value matches the Lazar value is astonishing and should not be overlooked, yet it has been completely overlooked by all interested parties. This tells me that the journalism community focuses on sensationalizing stories, not on the science underpinning the stories. The journalism community focuses on extracting and manipulating our emotions rather than giving the science associated with the story the oxygen it deserves. However, I once again repeat, if any viewers are truly interested in the science underpinning Lazar's claims, you can find it very easily on our channel. You can't miss it. Anyway, let's get back to the 1991 Lazar documentary. Lazar starts his documentary with a brief introduction of his educational qualifications. He then goes on to describe his place of work and the various levels of associated security. He also states that his employer was the US Navy. On the internet, it's easy to find people that criticise the Lazar story because they claim that documentation shows he worked in some sort of technical capacity, not a scientific one. Well, we can dismiss this argument based upon our own life experience. For example, I've been a self-employed contract engineer for over 30 years, working in quality assurance, both hardware and software. For most of my career, I've been employed to execute function A, but have actually had to execute function B in my engagement. My point being that whatever is written on paper is often meaningless because reality very often turns out to be quite different. There's no reason to expect that Bob Lazar and the US Navy should behave any differently to the rest of human society. Last time I checked, Bob Lazar was a human being and US Navy personnel were also human beings. Given that all navies are massive employers, my expectation is that they'll also be a bureaucratic mess, just like all government bodies, everywhere in the world. I doubt whether there's anything particularly special about the US Navy, at least not in bureaucratic terms. We should also consider that if Bob Lazar was working on a secret space alien Martian project, downplaying his function on the project would be completely normal and a necessary part of the cover story. After all, not everybody can be listed as toilet cleaners or tea ladies. The illusion of no secrets here can't be kept if everybody is publicly listed in phone books as working in the kitchen flipping burgers. In the documentary, Lazar then moves on to explain the areas he's going to cover and proceeds to educate viewers with respect to some of the physical principles associated with travelling vast distances, such as warping space-time. However, the meat and potatoes of the Lazar documentary starts at about the 10-minute mark. He states that the two main gravitational theories are waves and gravitons, and he completely dismisses the graviton theory as being flatly wrong. Well, the reality is that Lazar is quite incorrect. There were only two primary gravitational theories in 1991. One is general relativity and the other is quantum mechanics, or in other words, gravitons. The problem Lazar generates is that he describes gravity waves in electromagnetic terms. The sort of gravity waves which general relativity allows are propagating space-time distortions, not propagating electromagnetic-like gravity waves. So it is very clear that his understanding of standard gravitational theory in 1991 was very wrong. He didn't try to deceive anyone, he just wasn't a subject matter expert, and it shows. On the matter of gravitons, Lazar dismisses quantum mechanics out of hand, when he simply should not have done this. Quantum mechanics is the foundation of all creation, and physics knows this to be an indisputable fact. Once again, Lazar displays a lack of understanding of theoretical physics. Bob Lazar had absolutely no way of knowing if gravitons were not the answer in 1991. The fact that he displayed a clear lack of understanding of gravity waves within the framework of general relativity confirms that he had a similar understanding gap with respect to gravitons. Bottom line, Lazar's emphatic rejection of gravitons and consequently quantum mechanics should not be ignored, or rather should be ignored. He simply didn't have a clue about this specific topic. In Bob's defence, I should point out that in 1991 he was a hands-on experimentalist, not a theoretical physicist. This is an important distinction which should not be overlooked. A hands-on experimentalist has a completely different mindset and is not required to understand theoretical frameworks anywhere near as well as a theoretician, obviously. Furthermore, concepts such as dark energy, dark matter, and accelerated cosmological expansion had not yet been discovered. Most importantly, the LIGO experiment, which has confirmed the existence of gravitational waves, had not yet commenced construction. But remember, these experimentally confirmed gravitational waves are not the kinds of gravitational waves as described by Bob Lazar. These are propagating ripples in the fabric of space-time, a completely different animal. Therefore, I should point out in the strongest possible terms that two different forms of gravitational waves cannot exist. Claiming this, as Bob Lazar has done, is actually claiming that two forms of gravity exist. This is absolutely not the case. We show in our videos on this channel how some of Lazar's key claims can be verified from a single form of gravity wave, not two forms. Two forms are not required, only one form is required to explain all of Lazar's observations. Bob Lazar's claim of gravity A working on the atomic scale, whilst gravity B works on the planetary scale, is completely incorrect. The fact that his claim is incorrect can be proven mathematically by utilising the principle of wave function superposition. Once again, I stress that Bob is not trying to deceive anyone, he is simply unaware of the mathematical solution. Hence, from this point of view, what he is saying seems to be correct, but in actuality, it isn't. He seems to be unaware that by adding high-frequency gravity waves from, say, many protons and neutrons, when you get to something the size of the Earth, you end up with a very low-frequency resultant gravity wave. So his explanation of gravity A and B waves isn't consistent. Some of what he claims about gravity A waves and nuclei is correct, but it'll take too long to discuss it in depth right now. If you'd like more technical information about all of this, please watch all of the videos on our channel, not just the ones dealing with Bob Lazar. If you're going to watch our episodes to learn the physics behind Lazar's claims, please view them in sequential order, starting at episode 1. It is important to do so because each episode builds upon the previous one. Well, viewers, that's it for me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.